So yesterday we have seen like how to use how to create like the XPaths in different ways. Okay. So what is the normal way like for creating an XPath? What is the
Yeah,
general way?
normal way. Yeah, see, normal way of creating XPath is like giving a double slash. After
Mhm.
that, putting that at the rate and input at the rate and
No, oh, see,
giving that.
the general way
Yeah.
is like after the double slashes we have to use the tag name.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah, and then
and then we have to give a square brackets and
yeah,
at the rate and then identifier names, whichever identifier we
attribute.
wanted to use.
Yeah, attribute. That we call it as
SC
attribute.
attribute, yeah,
Yeah,
attribute name
attribute.
and the
Yeah,
value of that.
yeah, attribute name equals to attribute value.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, so that is the general way. Okay, and within that we have, okay. Well, let me go through this one by one. Yeah. So if you want to use under condition, you can use that one. Okay. That means after
yeah.
this one we have to use and but again to do forward
Mm.
slashes tag name and attribute is equal to attribute value. Okay. Similarly, we can
Yeah,
use R condition also. Okay.
yeah,
And
that is just to increase the accuracy for the XPath, right?
yeah, for
And or
example, like
you're using.
yeah, for example, let me give you an example. Like it's very rare, but sometimes like what might happen is, for example, if you have something like this, okay, if you have a tag, okay, where input, okay, name equals to something like first name, okay, first name, and some ID equals to FST name. You have one tag like this. Okay, and you have another tag like this input name is equal to uh, first name, and ID is equal to name. You have another tag which is input, okay, name equals to some FST, FST name, and ID is equal to name. Something like this you have it. Okay, and you want to identify, okay, you want to identify this element, let's say this element. So if you use only first name, you will get both of these.
Yes.
Okay, and if you use only name, you will get both of these,
Yeah.
right? So in those cases, then you can go for and condition where name is equal to first name, ID is equal to name, and ID is equal to name. Then you will get only this one.
Yeah.
Got it? So in those situations,
Yes.
that and is useful. Similarly, R is also okay. You will get those
Yeah.
conditions actually whenever like you are working in the real time. Okay.
Yeah.
Similarly, for regular expressions, if you want, you can use two forward slashes, and instead of giving the tag name, you can give star.
Yeah, that is for general for everywhere,
Yeah.
whatever the value will be, it will be getting that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
whatever the tag it is, whether it is a text box, check box, or anything, where the ID is this one, it will fetch that one, the first one. Okay.
The first one.
So, what is the difference between this regular expression XPath and the normal XPath? The normal XPath, it checks only those tags with these
Mm.
attribute values. But in regular expression, it checks all the tags with this value. So, generally, this XPaths with regular expression, they take more time than the normal XPaths. Okay,
Yeah.
even though like, you won't see like that difference actually when you are executing this one, but generally this takes more time than the normal
I think
XPath.
whenever you will be dealing with a larger part of the software
Yeah,
or some big software, then I think it will be showing some kind of a
generally,
difference while
generally,
executing.
generally, I won't go with this regular expression path. Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, I go with this one only. Okay. So generally, I won't go with this one. In very rare cases, like we use this one. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Now, contains keyword. Contains means if a particular attribute contains a specific value, then we can use this one. For example, in where we use this one is generally sometimes what the development does is they will prepare the tags like this: input name equals to first name. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, type is equal to text. Let's say. Okay, so what happens generally is this number might change. Generally, they
Yeah.
use these numbers to avoid cache issues. They append some values randomly to these attributes. So one time if you load it, you'll get this one, and if you refresh that one, you may get it something like 254. Okay, in those cases you cannot use this whole thing. Okay, like input two forward slashes input. Okay, shift
You
at the
mean
rate.
every time we do the refresh, it value get changes?
Yes, its value will be changed. Okay, so you cannot use like first name 1, 2, 3, because if you refresh this one or when you are running the script next time,
Mm.
it cannot identify this one because this value is changed now to 254.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens. Okay, you will see numbers. In those cases, we will go with contains. Okay, so how do we write contains? Input. Okay, contains in brackets. Okay, in brackets we'll use at the rate name comma first name. Okay, in those cases we go for contains keyword.
See, like if there will be multiple first
Mhm.
name and multiple changes will be there, then how the content will pick the value like
Then again,
whichever.
you go with the indexing. Suppose you are getting three results
Mm,
with this one because there are multiple values start which have this first name word
mm,
in the at the rate
mm.
name attribute. Then you go with I want to get the second value. Okay, then go with the indexing.
If see, like if I am going with indexing,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, then input will not be working because it will changing. Name is changing. No, yeah, yeah, you are like, so content will
No,
be using for some specific. I got it. Yeah, what your question I was framing that I got it.
yeah. Okay, so if it is returning multiple results,
Yeah. Mm.
and if you want like one particular result, then we again add indexing for this one.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the same thing starts with you can use. Okay, ends with is not working currently. Okay, this problem is there for a long time. Okay, and then parent-child relationship. Okay, parent-child relationship means if you have some nested ones. For example, you have one div. Okay, which has some name. Okay, is equal to first div something. Okay, and then this is closing here, this div is closing here. Okay, and within this div tags you have some input. Okay, type is equal to text. Okay, now this is a child element of this div tag. This input tag is a child element of this one because this is inside this one. Then how do if you want to enter some value into this one, how do we identify this one? First we will identify this one. Okay, so div. Okay, and at the rate name equals to first div. Okay, now we have identified this first one. Now using parent-child relationship, we'll add more. So for parent-child relationship, simply give a small slash and then div. Sorry, input. Use the tag name input. Okay, this is how you go with parent-child relationship. Okay, similarly, following sibling and preceding sibling. So what are siblings? If all of these are at the same level, all the elements are at the same level, then they are called siblings. Okay, that means, for example, we have something called div, and then we have something close div. Okay, and I have multiple input elements in this one. Input, okay, there is another input here, and there is another input, okay, and there is another input here, and there is another input. Like this, we have multiple child elements within this one. All these child elements, since they are at the same level, they are all siblings. Okay, for example, if you have, for this input, you have some property like name is equal to, okay, let's say this is third amount. The name is third amount, let's say. Okay, so how do we identify this element? We can use siblings relation. So first I will identify this element. Okay, so I'll say input shift at the rate name equals to third amount. Okay, so first I identify this one. Now these siblings, these are called, for this one, these are preceding siblings. Okay, these are preceding siblings. Okay, and these are called following siblings. Okay, based on this one will be the first preceding sibling, and this one will be the second preceding sibling. Based on this one will be the first following sibling, and this one will be the second following sibling. Okay, so in order to identify this one, what we will do is we will use a forward slash, and then we'll use following, okay, hyphen sibling, okay, and then we'll use two colons. After this one, following, sorry, this is preceding sibling. We want to get the preceding, okay, preceding hyphen sibling, two colons, and then give the name input. Okay, but until this one, it gets both of these if we use. So we want to get this one. So in square brackets, we use 2. So this will get this one, this sibling. Okay, preceding sibling. Similarly, following sibling. If you want to get this one, we will use following hyphen sibling, two colons, input 2. Okay, so this is how we use siblings. Okay, and the next one is finding the parent element. Finding the parent element. For example, we have something. Let's say I have div. Okay, some div tag I have. Okay, and let's say I have other div tags in this one. Other div tags. Close div. Close div. Div. Close div. Okay, let's say I have one div tag under which I have multiple other div tags. I have some input element in this one. Okay, input element, and I have another input element here, but I have something for this one. Name is equal to something. Okay, I would like to enter some value into this input tag. What I can do from this one, I can go to this parent tag. Okay, from here I can go to this parent tag, and then I can come by parent child relationship. Okay, so what I will do, I'll say two forward slashes input shift at the rate name is equal to, let's say this is first name. Okay, so this is first name. Okay, and then I'll use parent colon div. Okay, then I will come to this parent again. If I want to go to this parent, then I can say again slash, again I will use parent colon div. Okay, now I'll come to this one. Now I can come to this one using parent child relationship slash div slash input. Okay, this is how, again, see, when siblings concept and also parent, going to the parent, and also another one is ancestors. Okay, all these concepts, we use 2 slashes here. Okay. So this is how we can use parent tag. Similarly, ancestor also, you can use this one. Okay. And then how do we use the visible text? Visible text is simply we use text equals to. We don't use @text here. For text, it's always text and then brackets is equal to this one. If you want to use some contains keyword, again you can use this one. Contains in brackets we use text comma this one. Okay, we have already seen indexing and chained XPath. Chained XPath means you have multiple things. Let's say div. Okay, let's say id is equal to this is first div. First div. Okay, and you have multiple divs under this one. Let us say multiple divs under this one, and all of these are I'm closing them here. Okay, and let's say I have something like some input. Okay, some id is equal to first name, let us say. Okay, so how do you identify this one? Okay, we can use this id is equal to first name something, but there will be situations where you have multiple tags with this same name, so you cannot directly go with this one. So in those cases, what we can do is we can come by parent-child relationship. That means first we will identify this one. Okay, saying okay, so 2 forward slashes div. Okay, id is equal to first div. Okay, first div is what so how do now I will come to this one using slash div. Again this one using slash div. Again this one using slash div. Again this one using slash div. Okay, again this one using slash input. So these many number of times we have to write. So instead of writing all these things, what we can do is we can use, that means because I would like to get this input tag in this section. Okay, in this div. So instead of writing these many times this div tag for parent-child relationship, okay, what we can do is we can simply put a forward slash after this one, not forward slash, double forward slash we have to use. Okay, we are writing another XPath here, input id equals to first name. Okay, this is what we have to do. This is chained XPath. Chained XPath means you are writing multiple XPaths. So instead of using all these tags, okay, we'll directly write an XPath for the first element first, and then another XPath after that for this input text. So it directly identifies this text box under this div directly. Okay, this is where we go for chained XPath. Okay, normalize hyphen space we have already seen. Where do we use normalize hyphen space? Where do we use this one? Normalize hyphen space.
Where whenever there will be extra spaces between that,
Yeah.
extra
So
spaces between that.
yes. So if we have a text, even though on the screen it appears normal, but if you go into the background, if you inspect that element, you will see that the text has a lot of spaces and the spaces are changing. Okay, or the word itself is changing and the spaces are also changing. In those cases, then we will go for normalize hyphen space of text equals to, without those spaces we will use the text. Okay, yeah, just practice all these things. For example, the kind of question that might be asked is generally this is what I ask people how do you write XPath for this one? For example, you have something like this. Okay, div, and then I have a span tag. Span is one of the tags. Okay, span tag, and then I have something, okay, let's say withdrawal amount. Okay, and the amount is showing as, let us say, dollars. Okay, 10,241.25 something. Okay, close span and close div. I would like to get this amount from here. So how do you write an XPath for this one? Okay, people like will start saying that, okay, I will write an XPath like, okay, /div slash span. Okay, and then I will use the index 2. This is correct, right? This is correct only, because like I can come to this, first identify this div tag and then slash span. Since this is second element, I can use this 2 element. I can get this amount. I can go to this particular tag. But let's say like then the next question would be, okay, let's say I have multiple div sections like this. Okay, multiple div sections like this, but I would like to get only for this withdrawal amount. I want to get this one. Okay, if you use this one, it always identifies the first div section and the second span element. So I don't want to do this. Like I would like to get this particular amount only. How do we get this one? Okay, any idea how you get this amount? I mean, how do you come to this span tag?
I think normal the text only.
Yeah, so
No
the
text.
first thing is we have to use the text here. So for two forward slashes, okay, span, okay, and here we have to use text attribute, okay, text equals to, okay, here I'll use this withdrawal amount. Okay, so withdrawal amount. Okay, this is what like I use. So now I will come to this place, but I have to come to this one. So this is a sibling, and that too this is a following sibling, right? So I'll use slash following, okay, hyphen sibling, following hyphen sibling, colon span. Okay, I can use like one here or not needed, because anyhow there is only one element here. Okay, it's not really needed, but if you want, like you can use this one. Okay, this way I will come to this element. Okay, there is a method called getText using which we will get this amount, but this is how we write an XPath for this one. This is the common question I ask. I'll give them, like, okay, I have this kind of HTML code. How do I get this amount? How do I write an XPath for getting this amount? It is span, okay, and text is equal to withdrawal amount slash following hyphen sibling colon span. Okay, so this is similar than parent-child relationship. I ask the questions. Okay, and yeah, so some questions like you'll get on these XPaths, and if you know how to write these XPaths, that's it. Okay, you'll get like almost like 50% of the Selenium is covered for you. Okay, okay, so I have already uploaded this document in that one. Okay, and you can check this one. I think like there is one more example. Yeah, so you guys like try this one when the attributes have spaces. When the attributes have spaces. Okay, we are using find element by id, by dot id, by dot name, by dot class name, by dot so all those things we are using, right? So if those attributes have spaces, okay, generally class name produces error. Okay, let me show you this one. So you guys trying this, like let me show you this. Okay, let us say, let me open this. Localhost, Selenium practice and index. Okay, let me go here. Okay, so I have class name here like a TB border and a TB background. Okay, where it has spaces. Okay, so let me try to identify this element. Okay, let me go to, where is this Eclipse one? Okay, yeah. Okay, so we have something here using XPath. Let me create a new class file here, which is PR03. Okay, uh, XPath, XPath with spaces. So let me copy this one and okay. So XPath with spaces. I'm opening this one and I'm trying to find a driver dot find element by dot XPath. Okay. So the XPath like now I would like to prepare is this one. This is the XPath like now I would like to work with. So two forward slashes. What is this one? This is input. Okay, and then shift at the rate class equals to, okay, so it is identifying here like this expert class. Okay, so if I use the same thing in this one dot send case, okay, hello, generally it should give an error if I remember correctly, because if the class names has spaces in this one, so it should throw an error. Let me run this one. Okay, sorry, it's not by dot XPath. I'm sorry, it is by dot class name. It's not XPath like that gives the error, but by dot class name. Okay, and the class name is this one. Okay, the class name is this one. Okay, let us say I want to use this class name, and then I would like to send something into that input text. But now, if I run this one, run as Java application. Okay, it opened and it didn't enter anything here. Okay, because if you see here, okay, you'll see Selenium no such element exception. Okay, so generally like class names when they have spaces, okay, and if you use by dot class name, it will throw an error. Everything else like by dot id works fine, and by dot name works fine even though like they have spaces, they won't give you any problems, okay, except this class name. Okay, so that is what like I have mentioned it here. Let me close this one. Okay, so this is what I have mentioned. When the attributes have spaces, finding the elements by when the ID name attributes have spaces. By ID works fine. By name works fine. Except class name. Class name, it produces an error. XPath and CSS selectors, they work fine. Okay, just try this one. Okay, okay, and the next one is using CSS selectors. Okay, using CSS selector. Okay, so what is the normal way of writing a CSS selector? Okay, again here also we use like by dot CSS instead of like XPath, we use by dot CSS selector. So what is the general way of like writing a CSS selector? Okay, the general way is, okay, how do we write an XPath? We write it using like two forward slashes and then tag name, and at the rate, okay, we use attribute equals to, we use the attribute value here, right? This is how we write a normal XPath. So normal CSS selector, okay, how do we write this one? Okay, just to remove these two forward slashes and this at the rate, that will become a CSS selector. That means we write tag name, okay, and in square brackets we write attribute, okay, equals to attribute value. Okay, this is a CSS selector. Okay. So this is how we write a normal CSS selector. Just remove these two forward slashes and remove this @ symbol. Okay. Now let me go into the examples. Okay. So this is the first one, right? So if we go into this one, let's say I have this name attribute. I would like to use this name attribute. Okay. So I'm not sure like if you can't like let me test this one input. Okay, name equals to, okay, so yeah, we can use the same thing like to test this one. Okay, so it is highlighting this one. Okay, let me use the same thing in our script. Okay, so if I new class here and it is pr 04 css selectors. Okay, now let me copy this one to CSS selectors. So copy this and go to this CSS selectors. Okay. I should have main method first. I don't have the main method. Public static void main string arguments. Okay. So now I have okay. So I have set the property. I have created a driver object and I'm maximizing this one and I'm opening the URL. Okay. Now in this one, I would like to find an element by using by.css selector. Okay. Now in this CSS selector, I will use the CSS selector that we have prepared here. So in double quotes, use this one. Okay. Now dot send case some text. Okay. So I'm finding an element by using CSS selector. I'm sending something. Let me run this one. Run as Java application. Okay, it opened this one and it entered the value into this first text box. Okay, so this is how you can create a normal CSS selector. Okay, again in CSS selectors also we have multiple ways, just like this one, just like the exports. Okay, for example, you can use multiple attributes also, multiple attributes in the CSS selector. For example, if you see this one, I have used like only first name here, but I can also use the class here. The class is equal to some beautiful text box. Okay, this also I can use. Okay, so let me copy this class here, and if I go here, I can use the class name also here. So I can open like another square brackets, and then class equals to, sorry, I have to use single quotes here because we are already using double quotes outside. Okay. Okay. So class is equal to beautiful text box, where name is equal to first name and class is equal to beautiful text box. So if I run this one, okay, it entered test in this one. Okay. That means I can use multiple attributes within the CSS selector. This is the first attribute I'm using, and this is the second attribute I am using. Okay, so this one. Okay, the next way is we can use tag name hash id. Okay, just remember like these two things. Tag name hash id are only hash symbol and id if we have the id attribute. If we don't have the id attribute, you cannot use this one. But if you have the id attribute, then we can use tag name hash id or simply hash symbol and id. We can use this one. For example, in this one, let me go into this. Okay, let me remove, I'm removing this second attribute here. Okay, yeah, this is my input is my tag name and I have the id. first name. Okay, so tag name hash id I can use. If I run this one, run as Java application. Okay, so it will identify that element and it will enter that one. Or I can also use just hash symbol and id. Okay, and I have removed the tag name here. It is hash symbol and then id. So now if I run this one, run as Java application. Okay, so it will open that one and it will enter the text. Okay, so this is how we can use tag name hash id or simply hash id. Okay, now this was only if we have the id attribute for the elements. For example, if we don't have the id attribute but we have the class names here. Okay, so in this one, okay, if you want to use like only one class name, you can use tag name dot class name. Okay, if you have multiple class names, you can use tag name dot class name dot class name. Okay, you can use multiple also, or you can also use just by using dot class name. Okay, these are the three different ways using, or like you can also use like a dot class name dot class name. Either you can use tag name dot class name. If you have multiple ones, tag name dot class name dot class name dot class name, like that you can use. Or you can use only one class name, which is you can use just by using dot class name, or you can use class name sorry, dot class name dot class name dot class name, multiple things you can use. Okay, so let me show you this one. Mm, let me see like which element has multiple class names. Okay, let me inspect this one. So this one, it has only one color, there is no class name here. Okay, let me, okay, so here if you see, we have multiple class names. Okay, TP border is one class name, TP background is one class name. So we have multiple classes here for this particular element. Okay, so now let us write this one. Let's take the first one, TB tag name dot class name, which is input dot TB border. Let's take this one. Okay, so this is the third element in this one. So this is the third element in this one. Okay, let me go here. Okay, so by dot CSS selector and tag name dot class name. That's what we have to use. So the tag name is here input dot class name is TB border. Okay, this is what we can use. Let me run this one. Run as Java application. Okay, so it entered this one. Okay, now we can use multiple class names also, like tag name dot class name dot class name. So let me use the second one also, which is TB background. So I can use tag name dot class name dot again the class name here. Okay, if I run this one now, run as Java application. Okay, so it entered the value into the third one. Okay, now this is done. I can use only class name also, only dot class name. So let me remove this first one, second one. Okay, I'm using only dot class name here. So if I run this one, run as Java application. Okay, so it entered the value into this third text box. Now I can also use dot class name and dot class name. So I can use like two class names here. Okay, if I run this one, run as Java application. Okay, so it opened the web page and it entered the value into the third text box. Okay, so this is how we can use with class names. Okay, now we have seen like all these four. Now a starting text match. Okay, for starting text match, we use this cap symbol. Okay, for starting text match, we use this cap symbol. Okay, so for example, let me go into this one. Okay, let me set it like okay, so I have this beautiful text box is there, right? I would like to select this element by using just this word beautiful, or like yeah, or like I can use like just in the name attribute I would like to select it based on this first. It is starting like this attribute is starting with first, first, or like id is starting with first. Okay, so how to find it? Like just like in Xbox we have the start hyphen with is there, right? So just like that, if we want to find an element based on the starting text, how do we do that in CSS selector? We have to use something called cap symbol. Cap symbol in this one. Okay, so by dot css selector input, okay, id cap is equal to first. That's what we have to write. Okay, let me show you this one. So in this one, by dot css selector, okay, so how do we write the css selector? So first we will use the tag name input, and then normal way of writing this one. Okay, and then input id. Okay, we would like to check that select it based on the id where it starts with the word first. Okay, so I will use cap symbol here. Okay, just check like your keyboard where you have the cap symbol. Okay, I have it like at the number 6, number 6, and then cap symbol. Okay, I will use like a shift symbol and then use press on the 6 button 6. Okay, id equals to I will use first. Okay, that means select the input element, input tag where the id is starting with first. Okay, so we have to use cap symbol here. Okay, if I run this one now, run as Java application. Okay, so it identified this one and it entered the value into this text box. Okay, so let me close this one. Similarly, if something is ending with something, just like we have it like end hyphen within XPath, how do we do this one? For this one, we have to use okay the we have to use the dollar symbol here. Okay, so I would like to find like the element where the id is ending with. So I will use a dollar symbol here, and the id is ending with name. Okay, so we have the first name is there, right? So the id is ending with name, so I would like to find that element. So input id dollar symbol is equal to name. Okay, let me run this one. Run as Java application. Okay, so it opened this one and it entered the value into this text box. Okay, now let me close this one. Okay, so that is how we can. Okay, and any symbol, any means like contains, just like contains keyword in our XPath. So for that one we use star symbol. Okay, let's say if I use like an id instead of like dollar, I will use star symbol. So I have something like first name, right? So instead of this one I will use stna. Okay, so first name has this word, so it has to identify that element and it has to enter the value. So if I run this one, okay, so it enters the value into that one. Any means contains, just like contains keyword in XPath. Okay, we use the star symbol in this one. id star, that attribute star equals to okay whatever the value that you want to use it, like you can use it here. Okay, okay, so that is about this one. So yeah, parent child relationship. For parent child relationship we use greater than symbol. We use greater than symbol. For example, in this one let me see like what do we have parent child relationship. Okay, for parent child relationship we have an example here, and let me inspect this one. Yeah, so we have this monthly amount is there, right? So I would like to get this input tag here. So how do we get it? First we will identify this table data. Okay, in XPath we use forward slash, right? Forward slash. But here in this one we use greater than symbol in CSS selectors. Okay, so the way like that we have to do is like we if we uh, so here like it is form directly we have given like form here, which is an tag name we have given. But instead of this one, like, what we'll do is we'll identify it. First, let's write like, the XPath for, sorry, the CSS selector for this one. So how do we write the CSS selector for this one? Anyone? Where table data ID is equal to monthly amount. How do we write the CSS selector for this one? Anyone?
Like we can use either start with or ends with a first name start with and then
No,
first name.
what is the general way
So
of writing a CSS selector?
uh, by giving input,
Yeah, input. No, no, not input.
yeah.
We don't have like anything, any ID here. So how do we write it for this one? So first we'll
Uh,
identify how to identify this parent element, right? Just simply like,
yeah,
in table data and in brackets ID is equal to this one, monthly amount, right?
yeah. You're right, Sabu.
I mean, instead of XPaths, like, XPath, we will get two forward slashes and at the red symbol. We remove those.
Mhm.
Okay, we can use that one. Okay, so let's see, Control F. Okay, so table data ID equals to first monthly amount. Okay, I got this one. Now I have to come to this child. See, this input is within this table data element. So this is a child element for this one. So I will use greater than symbol and then input. Okay, so this is how I use parent-child relationship. So this is the first I have identified the parent, and then I use a greater than symbol. Normally in XPaths, like now, how do you do it? Like in XPaths, you use a forward slash symbol to come to the child element. Okay, in CSS selectors we use greater than symbol. So let me copy this one. Okay, let me go here. Okay, let me run this one. Run as Java application. Okay, so it identified that element and it entered the value test into this element. Okay, so for parent-child relationship, we use greater than symbol. Okay, now let's go into the next one, which is when you find more than one element. Okay, don't worry about this one at this moment. Okay, we'll come to this one and find elements method. Okay, and finding an element using tag name and enter the value in a specific. Okay, don't worry about these things. Okay, this is how we create CSS selectors. Okay, any questions on this one so far? Any questions on the CSS selectors?
So,
Just
so
yeah,
is there any definite demand to use the CSS selector, or whether it's a user choice to use it?
it's a user choice. Generally, like, we use mostly XPaths. CSS selectors
Yeah.
we rarely use, but you have to learn, like, these CSS selectors.
Okay.
Okay, all these are
So,
different ways. Okay, so now
so
there is,
one
yeah.
question is there any by chance like we can only use CSS selector, we can't use XPath? It is not possible, right?
No, no. Normally, like, you can create XPaths, like, for any element. There is no situation so far I have faced where I have to use, like, okay, I can use only CSS selectors and I cannot use XPaths.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so you can create like CSS, I mean, XPaths for any element.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so practice, like, both of these XPaths and CSS selectors. Okay, okay. Now this is an interview question. Okay, so the question is, we have seen, like, how to identify the parent elements or ancestors in XPaths, right? We used the keyword parent or ancestor while identifying the parent or ancestor elements.
Yes.
Right. Okay, in XPath. Can we write, like, for a CSS selector for identifying a parent element or an ancestor? Can we write a
By
C?
pay.
We haven't seen anything like this in these examples, right? We
Yeah.
haven't seen anything like this. So the question is, can you write like how to identify a parent element using CSS selector, or how to identify an ancestor using CSS selector? Okay, the answer is you cannot write
Yeah.
it like using a CSS selector, because traversing back is not possible in CSS selectors. Okay, so let me show you this one. Okay, so in this example, okay, this is the parent one. Again, this is the child element for this one. This is the child element for the previous one. This is the child element for the previous one. This is the child element for this previous one. And this is, for example, I would like to, sorry, I would like to identify this parent element. So this is the parent for this one, right? So I will write an XPath for this one. Okay, like two forward slashes. Okay, input. Okay, at the rate ID is equal to first name. So first I have identified this one, and then I can identify this parent tag saying slash parent colon two colons and then div. Okay, so it will identify this parent element. Okay, can we write an CSS selector for the same thing? We cannot, because the traversing back, okay, that means going in the backward direction is not possible in CSS selectors. So you cannot write, you cannot find parent elements or ancestor elements for an element using CSS selector. Okay, that's an interview question. Okay, now let's go into the next chapter. This is chapter 9, right? Okay, so again, the same things like, I have given it in all these chapters. I have uploaded them. Okay, using the first five, not first five, but this is the first six actually. Okay, the six sectors, and then how to use XPath, how to use like, CSS sectors, all those things, whatever like, we have discussed in this one. Those are the same things that I have explained it here. Now let us go into the interview questions. Okay, the interview questions are, can I navigate back and forth in a browser in Selenium driver, or what are the different navigation methods? So what are the methods that we have? We have driver.navigate dot to method to go to a particular URL, and then we can use driver.navigate dot forward, or driver.navigate dot back, or driver.navigate dot refresh methods to refresh the screen for going forward, and then for going backward, and then for refreshing this one. Okay. Okay. Now, what are the locators available in Selenium? Okay, normally this is the question that almost in any every interview they will ask you. Okay, there are real 8 different types of locators. There are ID, class name, ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text, XPath, and CSS selector. Okay, so what is an XPath? XPath is used to locate the elements. Using XPath, we could navigate through elements and attributes in an XML document to locate the web elements. Okay, XPath is basically used to find the elements. Okay, but normally people won't ask you like this question, what is an XPath or something. Okay, does the locator class name works if the class name has multiple? I think there are like no more questions about this one. Sorry. Okay. So how do you open a web page in Selenium? Using get method, right? We have seen this one in multiple examples. Okay. If I give driver.get of www.rediff.com, will it work? It won't work, because we should have HTTP. No, it throws
Yeah.
invalid argument exception. You should provide the URL with HTTP. We should have HTTP here. HTTP colon two forward slashes and then the URL. Otherwise, you will get invalid argument exception. Okay. So how do you get the title of the current page? We're using driver.get title method. How do you get the page source? Using driver.get page source. How do you close the browser? We can use either close method or quit method. What is the difference between close and quit? Anyone? What is the difference between close and quit?
Close will only close that particular tab of the browser, but quit will close all of the complete browser itself.
Yeah, complete all the browsers that are opened by the all the browser tabs or browser windows opened by Selenium.
Yeah.
Okay, so but close will only close that particular tab where the control is on. Okay, so that is the difference between driver.close and driver.quit. Okay, what driver method is used to switch to an alert or child window? We use driver.switch to. We'll come to this one later, but for now, just remember that. Okay, when you have like alerts or frames or child windows, okay, we use this method switch to switch to that particular alert or child window or frame. Okay, okay. How do you get the current URL of the Selenium? Using driver dot get current URL method. Okay, what is the difference between driver dot get window handle and driver dot get window handles? Okay, driver dot will get window handle, it returns the current window handle of the particular web page where the control is on. Driver dot get window handles, it returns all the window handles. Okay, for example, if you have opened like 3 child windows, so you will be having like totally 4 windows. So if you use like driver.get window handles, it returns all those window handles, all the 4 window handles. Okay, but how does it return? It returns in set. It returns a set of window handles. Driver.window handle get the window handle of the current window. Driver.get window handles gets all the browser instances. Okay, all the browser window handles. Okay, including the child windows open. Generally, it returns in the form of a set of strings. Okay, we'll see this one. Okay, and next one is what is the alternative to driver.get method? The alternative is driver.navigate.to we can use. Okay, what is the difference between driver.get and driver.navigate.to? Driver.get method to open a URL and it will wait until the whole page gets loaded. Okay, to navigate driver.navigate.to, okay, will navigate to the URL and it will not wait till the whole page gets loaded. This is one difference. Okay, both are used to open a web page only, but driver.get method, it waits until the whole page gets loaded and then it proceeds further. But driver.navigate.to, it will open the URL, but it won't wait till the whole page gets loaded. Okay, and again we have forward, backward, and refresh methods on this driver.navigate, but we don't have those methods in driver.get. Okay, so yeah, we have seen like in these things, and also we have seen what is an XPath. Okay, yeah, does the locator class name works if the class name has spaces? We have already seen this one, right? It produced an exception, and the class name, if we use driver.find element by dot class name, and if that class name has some spaces, then it was producing some errors, right? We have seen this one. Okay, so this is about identification of elements. This identification of elements, okay, is very important. Basically, if you are able to write the XPaths and CSS selectors, that means like 50% of the Selenium is you got like 50% of the Selenium. Okay, any questions on this one? Any
So we
questions?
are discussing, yeah, you're telling that we will having a project. So now onwards we can start a project like,
No, not immediately. The project will come like at the end. For this one, you need to know like some other concepts. But at least
okay,
from here, like at least you can start working with the Selenium scripts. You can start working. You can start
okay,
creating. Of course, there will be some more examples that I will be showing you. Okay. Then I will give you some examples which you can practice like on the car rental website that you have installed. Have you guys installed that car rental website?
yes, Shibu.
Okay, and are you able to open that and like go through that car rental website? Are you able to log in into the admin panel? Have you tried that one? Just try it so that you'll know like the navigation of that car rental website. Okay,
Okay. So this Selenium is same like APM is also same like Selenium only, or some other keywords will be introduced there.
ABM is an extension of Selenium that is mainly for mobile applications. Okay, Selenium
Okay,
is for web applications. APM is for mobile applications. Okay,
okay, sir. Okay.
that's a totally different one actually.
Okay.
Of course, we'll use the same similar kind of methods and everything, but that's a totally different one. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So that is about, sorry. Okay. So that is about this expansion CSS. So practice like these expansion CSS selectors. And if you know, like, all these things correctly, then you will be good. Okay. Fine. Let me go into the next one, which is, uh, yeah, so we have seen like all these things there are okay, find element methods. So after we use the driver dot find element methods, so what are the different methods that we have used on top of this one? For entering text into a text box, we use send keys method, right? We have already used this one, send keys method, and
Yes.
we have also used clear method to clear a text box or anything. We have seen these two methods so far. Send keys methods we have seen, and also clear method we have seen. Okay. After we find an element. Okay. So what does it return? Basically, this driver dot find element. What does it return? What does it return? Anyone? It returns a web element. Okay, we have seen this one earlier, like where we have captured just this thing into the web element,
Yes.
and then we use
Yes.
this send keys and clear methods, right? So we have seen this. So let us see the other methods that we have. Okay, on top of this, once we find a web element, once we find an element using that find element method, let us see what are the other methods that we can use. We have seen only send keys and clear methods so far. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. Okay, let me get some water. Okay, and then I'll just give me 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's see the other methods on this one. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, Abu.
Okay, fine. Okay, so we have seen this send keys and clear method. Okay, so let us see the other methods. So the other methods are like, for clicking a checkbox or a radio button or hyperlinks, we can use click. Okay, for example, let me show you this one. Okay, so we have like, yeah, we have something like a button here. So if I click on, I want to click on this button so that this alert will open. Okay, so let me identify this one, inspect. Okay, so check id is equal to id property is there. So let's write an XPath for this one. So this is a tag is button here. So two forward slashes button. Okay, and shift at the rate id equals to, and it is checked. So I'm able to identify this one, and this is one of one. Okay, I'm getting this one. Okay, this one is highlighted. Okay, okay, now let me use this one, Control C, and then let me go into the Eclipse. Okay, and then here I will use driver dot, sorry, dot, something happened to my keyboard. I think like I have pressed some keys here. Let me, yeah. So this is driver dot find element by dot XPath. Okay, and I'm putting this XPath here. And since this is a button, I have to use dot click. Okay, so let me use this thread dot sleep. Let's say I'm waiting for 2 seconds. Okay, so now let me add throws declaration. Okay, so now this is what it is. Okay, driver dot find element by dot XPath, and we have to use this XPath here, and then since this is a button, we use click. Okay, dot click method. So now if I run this one, okay, it is waiting for 2 elements, and then it clicked this one. That's why we are able to see this alert. Okay, so click is mainly used for radio buttons, because this is what you do, right? Like, normally also you click this one. Similarly, like in a checkbox, you click this one. Okay, similarly for buttons, you click this one. Okay, so we use click method. Okay, okay. No, we have seen this click method, we have seen this clear method, and for a button or checkbox, we use like again the click method. I think it's the same. Even for hyperlinks also, we use the same thing. Hyperlinks also. Okay. Yeah. So basically, we use these three methods. One is send keys, click, and clear. These are the methods that we use for working with any operations and any element. Okay. Now, I would like to get the attribute, some attribute for this one. For that one, we use the method called get attribute method. Okay. For example, I have okay, so I have this element here where the ID is first name and the class name, class attribute is this one, beautiful text box. Okay, so I would like to find the element by using this ID, and I would like to find out like what is the class attribute that it has. So let's write an XPath for this one first. Okay, so I'll say input. Okay, shift at the rate ID. Okay, so I have written an XPath for this one. Let me use this one in this. Okay, by dot XPath. Okay, I have written an XPath for this one. Okay, now I want to get the class attribute for that one. So I will use dot get attribute method we have. Okay, get attribute method we have. Okay, and then in quotes and double quotes I use class, because I want to get the class attribute for this one, and it returns a string. So I will take it into string str1. Okay, I'm capturing this return value, that attribute, class attribute value, into a string, and then I'll say system.out.println. Okay, str1. Okay, I'm printing this one. So let's run this one, run as Java application. Okay, so it opened this one. Let's go into the console and see it is printing that class attribute value. Okay, so if you want to get an attribute, we will use get attribute method. Okay. Okay. Now getting the CSS value. Okay, what does it mean by getting the CSS value? Okay, let me show you this one. Okay, so let me take one of these. Okay, this is where like I applied some CSS values. Okay, let me inspect this one. Okay, we have something called like a CSS file upload is there. Okay, in this one, let us say I would like to get what value I would like to get. Okay, everything is like overwritten. Mm, let us say this width property is there. So all these are like CSS properties. If you see, if when we inspect like any element, whatever it displays here, okay, under this styles tab, these are all like CSS properties. Okay, so does anyone know like what CSS is used for? CSS is called like cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets, they are used for design of a web page. That means we use basically HTML to build the web page, but if you want to design it like with the different colors, or like if you want to make a web page like look more appealing or like more beautiful, then we use CSS, cascading style sheets. Okay. Okay, so these are all different CSS values. For example, the display is a block for this one, and then the width is 90 pixels like this. Okay, let's find out like the width. I would like to get the width of this particular element. Okay, let me label is equal to for upload. Okay, let me identify this element first. Okay, Control F. Okay, slash the tag is label. Okay, label label. Okay, and then shift at the rate. What is that one that we have used? For, right? For is equal to, okay, so this is what we have used, label, and then for is equal to upload, and it is identifying one of one. Okay, and then I would like to find out the width here it is 90 pixels. Okay, we have to get this 90 pixels back. Okay, let me open this one, and I'm using, okay, this one. Okay, now I have something called get CSS value. Okay, get CSS value to find any CSS value. Okay, let me go here, and then I'll use dot get, okay, CSS value. Okay, and let us use this property name, which is width. What is the width of this one? Okay, yeah, so width. So I'll say width. Okay, see, it is getting 90 pixels here. Okay, so if you want to get a CSS property, what is the CSS property? CSS properties, when you inspect an element, all those CSS properties are shown here under styles. Okay, those are all CSS properties. Okay, so if you want to get any of these values, then we have to use a find.element method. We have to use get CSS value. This is what we have to use to get any of these properties. Okay. Okay. Now let's get into the next one, which is tag name. We can get like, tag name for that one. For example, I want to find out like, of course, we know the tag name is label here, but let's say I want to get like, the tag name for this one. So I can use get tag name method. Get tag name method, it should print label here because the tag is label. And if I run this one, okay, this is done. See, it is the tag name is label. So you can use get tag name method to get the tag name of that particular one. Okay, and visible text. Visible. How do we get the visible text for a we can use get text method to get the visible text. Okay, let us say I have this one. Okay, what is a visible text? Basically, visible text is something that appears on the screen, and it is between two tags. Okay, it should be between two tags. Let me see, like, visible text where we have something. Okay, yeah. So let's say this is the text. This is the same example, like, that I have shown you earlier. Okay, if you remember, like, I have two span tag, get text. You can use get text method. So if I inspect this one, okay, so I have something like this label withdrawal amount, and then span ID is something. Okay, so since we have like, directly the span ID, I can use this span ID here. So I will write an XPath for this one. Okay, so Control F, two forward slashes, span at the rate ID equals to, okay, this I got this one. Okay, so let me use this one. I would like to get this amount, $12,555 amount. I would like to get it. Okay, so I will go here. Then here I will use this one. This export span ID is equal to withdrawal amount. I will use. Now I would like to get the amount for this one. So I will use dot get text. Okay, get text method, and I am printing this one. Okay, let me run this one. Run as Java application. Okay, so now it opened, and if you see, it got the text. So we use get text method. Okay, for getting a text between two texts. Now let us see these three methods. Okay, these three methods are, we can find out if an element is displayed or hidden, or if an element is enabled or disabled, or if an element is selected or not. Selected or not means generally used for checkboxes or radio buttons. Okay, these the three things. Let's see. Okay, so first one is displayed or hidden. We use isDisplayed method to find out if it is displayed or hidden. It returns a boolean value, true or false. That means if it is displayed, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Okay, let me show you, like, something here, like my, yeah. So I have, yeah, I have this dynamic button is there. This dynamic button element is there. Okay, but this is, let me close this. Yeah. Okay, so see here, this one move mouse here is there, right? So if I move my mouse here, okay, it is showing some element. Okay, initially it is hidden, but when I move my mouse over here, then I'm displaying this one. Okay, let me go here, inspect this one. Okay, so this is, okay, so this is the one. ID is equal to mouse over button, something is there, mouse over button. So let me identify this one. Let me identify this one. Okay, slash button if at the rate ID equals to, okay, this is what I have. Okay, now I would like to verify whether it is displayed or hidden. So how do I do that one? I use isDisplayed method. Since it is initially like hidden, we will get a false because it returns a boolean value, right? So it should return false. Okay, so now let me copy this one. Let me go here. Okay, dot is displayed method. Uh, so, but I have to use a Boolean value here because it returns a Boolean value. Boolean. Okay, let us say some Boolean B, something I'm saying Boolean B. Okay, it returns true or false, but initially this button is hidden. That's why it should return false. Let me run this one, run as Java application. Okay, so now let me close this one. See, it is returning false because it is hidden initially. Okay, that is why it is returning false. Let me try it like on a different element. Let us say this text box, it is displayed, right? It is not hidden. So it should return true. Let me use this one. ID is equal to first name is there, right? So let me use this one, driver.find element. Instead of like, XPath, I use ID, okay, and then first name. So by that ID I am using, and I am checking like, if it is displayed or not. Okay, it should return true because it is displayed. Okay, it's not hidden. So if I run this one, okay, it opened the Chrome driver. Well, let me close the Chrome browser. Let me close this one. See, it returned true because the text box is visible. Okay, this is how we use isDisplayed method. Okay, okay. For isDisplayed method to work, that element should be there on the web page, whether it is in the hidden state or displayed state. It should be there. If the element itself is not there on the page, then it will throw an error. Okay, it will throw an error. IsDisplayed method is only to be used where the element is there on the page. Okay, that means whether it is in the hidden state or whether it is in the visible state, it should be there. If it is that element itself is not there, then it will throw an error. Okay, remember that one. Okay, now let me go into the next method which is isEnabled. Okay, we have disabled and enabled properties, right? So we can find out if something is enabled by using by this one. Okay, the same thing here. I will use like instead of is displayed, I will use dot is enabled because okay, this is definitely this one is enabled because we are able to enter the values. We have something here, disabled text box, which where we cannot enter the values because it is disabled. This is a disabled text box. So we are trying to find out if the particular element is enabled or not. So we use is enabled method. Okay, let's do this one. Let's run this one. It should return true because the first text box is enabled. Okay, so it opened the web page, it maximized, okay, and it opened the URL. If I close this one, see now it is returning true because this one is enabled. Let's try this one for this disabled text box. Let me identify this one. Okay, inspect, and there is ID is disabled here. So let me copy this ID and I am putting it by dot ID. Now this should return false. Is enabled should return false because this particular text box is disabled. So let me run this one. Run as Java application. Okay, so let me close this one. See, it is returning false because that particular text box is disabled. Okay, now the next one is selected. We can check if a checkbox is selected or not selected by using isSelected. This is mainly used for checkboxes and radio buttons. Okay, let me show you this one. So here in this one, I have a board is already selected. Okay, let me identify this one. Okay, so under this div cb1 group, I have different things like a name is equal to vehicle 1, name is equal to vehicle 2, name is equal to vehicle 3. See, this name is equal to vehicle 3, it is already checked actually. Okay, this is already checked. So let us see with this one, name is equal to vehicle 3. Let me identify this one, Control C, Control F. This is an input tag, input shift at the rate name equals to this one. Okay, so now I'm able to identify this checkbox. Okay, and it is one of one. Okay, so let me identify if this is selected or not. So let me copy this one, and let me go here. So instead of ID, we will use by.xpath, and I will dot is selected. Okay, so it returns like true or false. So I use a boolean value here to capture this one. So now it should return true because that particular value is that particular checkbox. I have a boat is already selected. Okay, let me run this one. Run as Java application. Okay, so if I close this one, now it is returning true because that particular checkbox is already selected. For let's take like another one, which is vehicle 2, where I have a car. I have a car, like this way. This is I have a car. Okay, let's select this one. It should return false because it is not selected by default. Okay, so I'm using like instead of vehicle 3, I'm using vehicle 2. Let's run this one. Run as Java application. Okay, so let me close this one. See, it is returning false because nothing is, the checkbox is not selected by default. Okay, so these are the different methods that we use on top of find element. So what are the methods that we have? Generally, for entering the information, we use send keys method. For clearing the information, we use clear method. Okay, for clicking a text, sorry, for clicking a radio button or checkbox or anything, we use click method. Okay, or hyperlinks also. Okay, we use click method. So these are the three methods that we use to interact with an element. Okay, and then we can also use get attribute method to get an attribute value. We can use get css value method to get a css value. We can use get tag name method to get the tag name. We can use get text method to get the text. Okay, visible text. Okay, so these are all like getting the attributes. Okay, now if you want to find the state of an element, for example, if it is displayed or hidden, we can use isDisplayed method. If it is enabled or disabled, we can use isEnabled method. If it is selected or not, a checkbox or a radio button, if you want to see if that is selected or not, then we can use isSelected method. Okay, any questions on this one so far? Are you clear with this one?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay, fine. Now let me see if there are anything. It's an example that I have given here. Yeah, this one. Okay, let me go into the next one.
One question.
Yeah.
While we are working on the some of the dynamic pages,
Mm-hmm.
so how it would be to find out the elements? Is it very hard or
Can you give an example like dynamic pages means like
like
and
Google page, while we are searching for any of the
yeah,
right side three dots, so automatically it will change the path, right? If you are going with the X path, so the path will be changing continuously, right? It won't be the same path.
sorry, can you give me this one? I don't get it actually.
Okay.
But okay, let me
Okay. If
try
there is Google search, if you are going for the Gmail in the right side option, there is Gmail option, right?
this
Right
one.
top corner. Ah.
No, we
Beside images,
this one. Okay.
beside, ah. So after refreshing, it will change, right? Every time.
Let me see this one. So class. Let me see. Okay, this is under body. We have it. So we have a style tag and then we have a class tag here. Okay, so you mean to say like these values are changing like each time?
Yes.
Focusable. Okay. This is an SVG class. Actually, this is related to image. Okay, let me see this one. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I can take, let's say, Control F. Yeah, okay, okay. So I have identified this one using this class name, okay, GB_D. Okay, so you mean
Okay.
to say that this class name is changing each and every time? I don't think that like it will change actually. The only thing is like based on your browser, these values may change. Like this
Yes, yes.
view box values may
View
change.
box, this 0, 0. Yes, yes.
Yes,
This structure is changing.
this one will change because yeah, if it is changing like something continuously, then you cannot use that one basically. Okay,
Okay.
you have to find out like something that is constant, the property that is constant. Okay, so
Okay.
here in this case, I'm using like GB_D. Yeah, GB_D is like an always a constant actually. I'm using
Yes, yes.
GB_D. Okay, so I can use that one. But if something that's why like if you remember, we have used this contains keyword. Okay, one
Contents, yes.
yeah, one famous like an example is like this is always like developers does it actually always. Okay, what they do is, let's say I have a some input, some text box I have. Okay, input type is equal to text and ID equals to, let us say, first 1 2 3, something like this. Okay, you will see like some numeric characters here and the IDs are like the attribute values. What happens is generally every time you load this one, this number will change. Next time it will become 254 678. Every time you load this one, this number will change basically. Generally development team, why they do this one is generally to in order to uh, avoid the cache issues. In order to avoid the cache issues, they will like attach some numbers to this one, so that you won't get cache issues. Okay, in these cases you cannot go with this one, this ID. Okay, we cannot write like an export something like in sorry okay, two forward slashes input, okay, at the rate id is equal to, okay, first 1 2 3. You cannot write it like this, because this value is changing. So when you run it like
Yes.
next time, this will change and this will fail here. So in those cases we use like contains. Okay, so at the rate id comma first. Or you can also go with like starts with with at the rate id comma first. This also you can use. So you have to identify something that is constant actually. If it is changing continuously, then you cannot use that one to identify the element. Okay, you have to
Okay.
identify, you have to use something that is constant. Okay, okay. So yeah,
Okay.
any other questions on this one? Okay, fine. Let me go into the next one, which is FindElements method. Okay, let me go into this one. Okay, so so far we have seen driver.findElement method, which returns a single web element method. And if it, suppose you write an XPath, and if that XPath is, it is returning like multiple elements, then driver.findElement method will return multiple elements, but which element it will take? it will work on? It is always the first element. Okay. So that is about find element method. Similarly, we have find elements method, which is used to get multiple elements, all the elements, and it will return a list of web elements list. So where did we see list? In which topic we have seen list? Anyone?
Yeah, collections.
Yeah, in collections framework, we have seen list, right? So a list is
Yeah.
a collection of elements or collection of objects, okay? And list maintains order, and also we can enter duplicate elements into a list, okay? So when we use find elements method, it will return a list of web elements. Okay, let me show you an example here in this one. So let me close this one. Okay, so let us say I have like all these ones. Okay, so let me identify this one. This one is a text box input and type is equal to text. Okay, let me write an XPath for this one. If I use input, okay, if I use @type, it's equal to text. Okay, it returns all the text boxes on this page, and if you see, there are 41 text boxes on this one of 41. So 41 text boxes are there, not the text boxes but check boxes, radio buttons. They also start with input tag only, but the type, okay, oh, sorry, anyhow we are using like type is equal to text, right? So it will return like all the text boxes on this one. Okay, if you go one by one, if you press on enter, like it will go through like all those text boxes. So these are all the different text boxes that we are using on this one. 41 text boxes we have. Okay, so like this we have 40, so it returns all these ones. Okay, but if you use the find element method, it only works on the first element out of this 41. If you use find elements method, okay, find element method returns a single web element. Okay, that too the first element. Find elements method, it returns a list of web elements. Okay, you have to remember this one. Okay, let me copy this one. Let me go into the script. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'm saying driver dot. Let me take all this thing. Okay, driver dot find element. Sorry, I have to use by dot XPath here. Okay, by dot XPath. Okay, so what it returns? It returns a single web element. So I can capture this one into a web element. Okay, some element one. Okay, I'm capturing this one into a web element. Okay, now I have to import this web element, import web element. Okay, so this find element method, it returns a single web element. Okay, I can use like other ones like after this one and this element one dot send keys, I can use hello. So out of even though it identifies like multiple elements, this find element method returns only single element, which is the first one. So when I say this element one dot send keys, no. So far what we are doing is we are directly using this one. Okay, instead of capturing into an element, we are saying like send keys hello. This is what like we are doing so far. We are directly using the send keys method on top of this one because it returns a web element. Okay, or like you can capture this one into a web element and then you can use this one. This is also fine. Okay, so it returns a single web element. For example, I would like to enter into the some text into the second element identified by this XPath. Okay, then in those cases we have to use okay driver dot find elements method. If you see, there is a second find elements method. Okay, by dot XPath. Okay, and the XPath. Let me copy this XPath again. Okay, so I can. So what does it return? It returns a list of web elements. So I'll say list of web element, I say elements list equals to this one. So it returns a list of web elements. So let me import this list, import list from java.util. Okay, so it returns a list of web elements. Okay, so let me comment this one. I can show. Okay, it returns a list of, since it is a list, okay, that means it is getting like all the text boxes from this page and it is putting it in a list. Okay, now I would like to enter the second value, second web element, enter some value into the second element. How do I do this one? How do I get this second element from a list? What is the method that we use? We have seen this.
Indexing. Add to dot add.
Okay, yeah, we can. Okay, but indexing is like, generally we use it like in the, I mean, what is the method that we use?
Add method.
No, add method is for adding elements to this one. We already got these elements. We already got
Okay.
these elements into this element. Now, from that one, I would like to get the second one. What is the method that I use? I'll use
Get method.
elements list. Yes, get of index. In the get method, we use the index. Okay, so if it is a second element, I use the index as 1, right? 1, and then I will use dot. Okay, now I got the element. Basically, web element, I got it. Now I can use send keys method. Send keys of hello. Okay, if I
Here
run.
also we can use loop also. For loop also, if you want to enter same thing into every index, right?
Yeah, you can enter like everything into the index, but the time being, like, this will fail when it comes to the frames. It will enter like, everything into this one because it cannot identify like, the text boxes. Even though the XPath, using the XPath, when you are testing it in the on the web page, it works fine. But when you run the script, like whenever there are like elements on the frame, it cannot go into that one. Okay, here it will fail. But if you have like, only normal elements, then you can use like for loop and enter like all these values into this one. Okay, we'll see that one. Okay, so we can get like, the first index element, that which is nothing but second element. Okay, and then we can enter a value here. Let me run this one. Run as Java application. Okay, so it entered the value into the second text box. Similarly, let's say if you want to enter like, something into the something into uh, let's say fourth one. What is the index you have to give? You have to give get 3 and send keys like this. Okay, as you mentioned, let's try to enter like, all the values into the multiple text boxes. So now we have got this element list in this one, right? So let's use a for loop here. For int, okay, I is equal to 0, which is used as an index here, and I is less than, okay, I is less than element list dot size method we have to use to get the number of elements size, and then I plus plus. Okay, in this one I'll say elements list dot get of I. I'm using I, and then send keys hello. Okay, so I'm trying to enter hello value into all the text boxes. Okay, so where does it fail? It should fail here in the disabled, because it cannot enter the value into a disabled text box. Okay, let me run this one. Okay, it failed here. It entered like, into all these text boxes, but it failed here because it's a disabled one. So let me go here. See, it threw an exception here. Element not interactable exception, because it is disabled. We cannot interact with that element. Okay, so how do we avoid this one? What is the concept that we have learned previously? We can use try catch blocks.
Catch and try.
Okay, so I will use try. Okay, and then catch. I'm directly using exception E. I'll use system.out.println. Sorry, text can't be entered. Okay, this is what it prints whenever it is not able to enter the value. So let me run this one. Java application. Okay, so it is entering values into everything. Okay, so in the first one couldn't enter the value into this one, so I think yeah, it is done. Okay, it entered all the values into all of this. Okay, frames, because it is in a frame, it cannot enter the value. You need to switch to the frame first. We'll see these things later. Okay, so this is how. Okay, so do you understand the difference between find element and find elements method?
Yes, Subbu.
Okay,
It is
okay.
clear.
So
Yeah.
the interview will definitely people will ask you question on this one. What is the difference between find element and find elements methods? Okay, find element. Okay, it will return a single element. Okay, find elements method, it returns a list of web elements. Okay, if it returns a list of web elements, since this is a collection of frameworks list, we can use get method to get a particular element from that list. Okay, okay, fine. Now let me see, find elements method and the difference between find element and find element. This returns a single matching element. The return type is web element. We have seen this one, web element. We have many methods like send keys, click, etc. under this one. Find elements. This returns a list of web elements. Since this returns a list, we can use get method to get method first to get a particular web element and use methods like send case, click, etc. Okay, so this is about find element and find elements methods. Okay, now let us see the next one. Okay, so we have seen this one. Okay, now from here, from this next one, yeah, from here to here, it is working on different elements working with text areas, checkboxes, radio buttons, drop down list, multi select, all these things. These are for for working on different elements. Okay, basically these will be easy: text area, checkboxes, radio buttons. These are all easy. This is just, we have already seen this one, where we use the different methods like send keys, click, clear, those things we use. Drop down list, we have got a new class here that we have to use. Similarly for multi select also, and then we have some interview questions. Okay, and then we will move to alerts. Once this is done, how to check the visibility of keyboard keys. Okay, yesterday we have seen it, right? So we have seen keys dot escape key, how to use escape key, enter key, like that, how to use those keyboard keys here. And then we have actions class, child windows, frames, okay, cookies, acceptance, secure certificates, synchronization, JavaScript executes, working with tables. Mostly by end of next week, all these topics will be completed. Okay, by end of next week, all these topics will be completed. The thing that you have to know is, okay, you have to know how to write these XPaths and CSS selectors clearly. If you know that one, all these other things, they are not like a big task for you guys. Okay, of course, JavaScript executor. How many of you have little understanding about this JavaScript? You guys have any I mean, not experience, but at least you know what JavaScript is, and do you know any basic JavaScript?
Like I know only that JavaScript it is for designing the front end, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly for the front end operations, On the browser,
Okay.
okay, we'll use JavaScript. Okay, this one, like, I'll give a little bit introduction about this JavaScript also, the basic methods that we use JavaScript, because whatever you cannot do using Selenium, we use JavaScript to do it in Selenium. Okay, so you have to know this. Okay, so mostly by end of next week, I will finish this Selenium, and then I will go with the page object model, Excel operations, TestNG, Maven. We have already seen this one. We are already started using like Maven for a project, Log4j2, Jenkins, and then database testing frameworks. Okay, and then we have something called hybrid framework project. Okay, this is where we do the project here. Okay, because if you want to do a project, basically, like, you need to know all these things, how we use a page object model, how we use like Excel operations, TestNG. Okay, Maven, anyhow, like, um, we'll discuss more in because we have.
Whether it is BDD frameworks and frameworks, both are different things or same thing only?
Both are different actually. Okay, so BDD again, like, we have here Selenium BDD framework is there. It will come later. Once the Selenium is completed and all these things in Selenium are completed, then we will go to the BDD framework.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So mostly by next week I will complete this core Selenium. Once this core Selenium is completed, see, all these things are like, some basically kind of like an extra things. Once the Selenium is completed, okay, this is a design model that we use. How to read the data from Excel? How do we use test engine? All these things are like, if you understand this core Selenium clearly, all the other things are like, they won't take you much time. Okay, okay,
Okay.
fine. So that's all for today. Any questions or anything?
So we are having certain Java topics also remaining. So that when will we be covering that?
We'll start them. Okay, we'll start them there, because like they are all kind of like an extra topics, like, that I have created. Okay, so they are like,
Okay.
for example, if you see this one, sorry. Okay, so for example, Java collections class, we have seen like collections framework, collections. Okay, collections framework is different, collections class is different. Collection framework is like, it's a group of interfaces and the related classes for this one. Collections class is a class developed on top of I mean, collections class is a class developed to work with collection framework. Okay, for example,
Okay.
if you want to create an empty list, okay, we can create it like, using collections. We use the class name collection and use dot empty list. It will create an empty list. Similarly, to create an empty set, we'll use dot empty set. Similarly, empty map we can create. Add all method, we have already seen it.
Yeah.
If you want to, like, add one list to another list, we can use add all method. Okay, some of these methods we have already, binary sets we have already seen this one. In arrays we have seen it. Okay, where we
Yeah.
want to check, like, but before that you have to sort it first. Okay,
Yeah.
similarly, okay, we haven't seen this copy method, and okay, so these are all like, disjoint method we have. These are all like, some extra methods. Empty list method, empty set method, we have to create an empty set. Empty map method we have. Fill method, it will fill randomly, like, with some values. Okay, max method, if you want to get a maximum value from a collection, how do you get it? You can use max method. Okay, so like this, like, these are all like, extra methods that you have under this class, collections class, that you can use to work with the collection framework. These are like, so no one will ask you like any questions on this one. Okay, this is only if you know this one when you are working in the real time. Okay, then it will be useful. Sort method, we have already seen this one, how to sort a collections dot sort method we have to use. Okay, so
Yes.
these are only the extra things, so we will go in parallel. Whenever, like, we have time, we will go in parallel. Okay, similarly, arrays class, array is different, and arrays class, it is developed to work with arrays, where we have seen some of these methods in arrays class, like arrays dot sort method we have seen, arrays dot binary sets we have seen, arrays dot toString added we have seen. So those are all the things. Okay. Other than that, like once those are completed, we have enumerations and a random class. Okay, random class means if you want to create like randomly like some passwords or something. One okay. So in the real-time project, this random class I have used it where I had to create like multiple categories. There is a functionality like where you have to add a new category, you have to change that category name, and you have to delete that category. Oh, so we have to create like those categories randomly. So we use this random class. Similarly, math class integer. So these no one will ask you like any questions on this one. But if you know these things, these will be useful for you in future. Okay, so I'll cover like these extra topics like whenever like we have some time. Okay. But
Can you share these documents also, Sibu? Because if it will be good for us to practice also if you want.
yeah, you want me like to upload like
Yeah,
these Java
yeah,
documents into the Google Drive? Yeah, I'll do that one.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
But your focus should be on this one, on Selenium. Okay. Just practice
Okay,
like whatever we are discussing in this one, everything. Mainly XPaths
sure.
and CSS selectors. Okay, those are the main things that you have to work on with. Okay. Okay, fine. Any questions? Any other questions for anyone? Any other questions? Okay, yeah, fine then. We'll meet tomorrow. Okay. We'll
Subbu,
discuss.
that
Yeah.
website, what you have shared with us, no, so that from where you are making us to do the practice, that will
Mhm.
be enough for doing the practice for XPath, right?
The practice Selenium practice page that I have
Yeah,
given, right?
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
That
yeah.
will the 90% you'll know, but some of the things like you won't find it. But I'll show them to you on the real time websites. Okay,
Okay,
95% that will be enough because everything you have it here. For example, display dynamic button. It takes some time and it will display some dynamic button here. Okay, so you can
okay,
use synchronization. You can practice synchronization. You can upload images. Uploading the images, like how to do, how to work with frames. You can use it here. How to move the elements like this here. Okay, and you can use like move mouse over. Okay, if you move your mouse, like you'll display something here. Okay, so you can practice it like those things here. So 99% like anything like that is not, that you cannot work here. We will go into the actual sites. For example, we have some functionality that we work with uh, what is that, JavaScript executor. So that functionality like I'll show it to you in Redbus. Redbus.net. For example, we have like something called okay, so it will display a list of different items here. So we have to get like all these items. How do we get it? We cannot do it like on the practice page. So we'll use some real-time examples there. Okay, but
okay,
for now, like whatever I have told you, this page is enough. Even like in future also, for most of the topics, we will refer to this practice page.
okay,
Okay.
okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine then. Okay. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
సుబ్బు
Yeah.
ఆ, ఇది చిన్న డౌట్ అండి. ఇది
Yeah.
మ్యావిన్ డౌన్లోడ్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేశాను. అన్చెక్డ్ది ఉంటుంది చూడండి.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
అది చేస్తే నాకు అది సరిగ్గా రాలేదు. అదిను కార్ రెంటల్ది మీకు పంపించాను చూడండి. అది
అంటే
కొంచెం
మ్యావెన్ది మీరు మ్యావెన్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేశారా?
అది క్రియేట్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేస్తే అసలు
అంటే
ఆ,
ఏమని వస్తుందండి? ఎర్ర ఏమని వస్తుంది మీకు? ఎర్ర
అక్కడ
ఏమని
ఇది
వస్తుందండి?
ఒక కోడ్ ఏదో పేస్ట్ చేయాలి కదా, అక్కడ చేయడానికి కూడా రాకుండా సమ్
ఓకే, ఒకసారి మీది స్క్రీన్ షేర్ చేస్తారా?
జూమ్లో యా జూమ్లో చేయమంటారా? దీంట్లో రాదు, ఎలా చేయాలి ఇప్పుడు? మీది దీంట్లో షేర్ అని ఉంది చూడండి, ఇదేనా?
ఇక్కడ మీరు షేర్ అని ఉంది కదా, దీంతో ట్రై చేయండి.
ఎస్ ఓకే అండి, ఓకే.
యా,
షేర్ అయిందండి.
కనిపిస్తుంది.
ఇక్కడ ఇది ఇలా స్టక్ అయింది.
ఓకే, ఓకే. ఇది మీకు ఏంటంటే టైం తీసుకుంటుంది. నాకు తెలిసి టైం తీసుకుంటుంది అంటే ఇది యాక్చువల్గా ఇదంతా కూడా మీకు మ్యావెన్ నుంచి డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోవాలండి. స్కెలిటన్ ఇదంతా మ్యావెన్ నుంచి డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకుంటారు. జస్ట్ క్యాన్సిల్ చేసేయండి ఒకసారి, యూజర్ ఆపరేషన్ క్యాన్సిల్, యూజర్ ఆపరేషన్ చేయండి.
ఓకే
ఓకే, క్యాన్సిల్ అయిపోయింది కదా. ఓకే, సో మీరు ఆల్రెడీ మ్యావెన్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేశారు. మ్యావెన్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి ఓకే, మీకు ఇక్కడ ప్రాబ్లం ఎక్కడ వస్తుందంటే ఈ మీరు సింపుల్ మ్యావెన్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేశారు, అవునా? సింపుల్ వన్. ఐ మీన్ మీరు డైరెక్ట్గా చెక్ బాక్స్ సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నారు. చెక్ చేసుకోండి. ఈ డిపెండెన్సీస్ అనే సెక్షన్ మీకు ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనే దాని లోపల ఉండాలి, బయట ఉండకూడదు. ఓకే, మీరు ఈ ఈ ట్యాగ్ తీసండి. https://maven రిపాజిటరీ ఉంది కదా, లైన్ 8th లైన్, 8th లైన్, 8th
ఇది
అది మొత్తం తీసేయండి. రిమూవ్ చేసేయండి ఆ లైన్.
అయ్యో అదే.
ఆ లైన్ మొత్తం రిమూవ్ చేశాను, స్టార్టింగ్ నుంచి ఎండింగ్ వరకు.
ఓకే, ఒక్క నిమిషం. అదే ఓకే అండి.
ఓకే, నా ఆ డిపెండెన్సీస్ అన్నది మొత్తం 9వ లైన్ నుంచి 15వ లైన్ వరకు కాపీ చేయండి. ఓకే, Ctrl+X కొట్టండి. Ctrl+X కొట్టి
Ctrl+C కాపీ చేసండి.
Ctrl+X కొట్టి కట్ చేసేయండి. Ctrl+X కొట్టండి.
ఓకే అండి, Ctrl+X. ఓకే
ఓకే, నౌ 5th లైన్ తర్వాత ఒక ఎంటర్ కొట్టండి. 5th లైన్ చివరిలో పెట్టి, 5th లైన్ చివరిలో పెట్టి ఎంటర్ కొట్టండి. ఓకే, నౌ ఇప్పుడు Ctrl+V కొట్టండి. ఓకే, సో ఇది ఎప్పుడు కూడా డిపెండెన్సీస్ అనేది మనకి ప్రాజెక్ట్ ట్యాగ్ లోపల ఉండాలన్నమాట. సో ఇప్పుడు Ctrl+S కొట్టండి. Ctrl+S కొడితే మీకు ఇప్పుడు డౌన్లోడ్ అవుతుంది.
Ctrl+S.
సేవ్ చేయండి.
ఓకే
ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు మీకు
వెయిట్, అనిమేట్ ఉంది.
ద యూజర్ ఆపరేషన్ ఈజ్ వెయిటింగ్ ఫర్ క్రియేటింగ్ టు కంప్లీట్. ఓకే, ఒక్కోసారి ఏంటంటే ఎందుకంటే ఏదో మళ్ళీ ఇవన్నీ కూడా
ఇది 2-3 టైమ్స్ చేసినా ఇక్కడ ఈ స్టెప్ దగ్గర ఇలా ఆగిపోతుంది. మరి ఇంటర్నెట్ అర్థం కాలేదు ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటని.
ఓకే, ఒక్కసారి నాకు ఇది యాక్సెస్ ఇవ్వండి, నేను చెప్తాను. ఒక్క నిమిషం, ఇది యాక్సెస్ ఎలా తీసుకోవాలి. మోర్ యాక్షన్స్, కనెక్ట్ వీడియో, ఇన్వైట్ అంటే మన కాపీ లింక్, స్టార్ట్ న్యూ వైట్ బోర్డ్. యాక్సెస్ ఎలా రిక్వెస్ట్ చేయాలని చెప్పి చూస్తున్నానండి.
అదేండి, అదే ఇక్కడ ఎక్స్పాండ్ యువర్ స్క్రీన్ షేరింగ్.
ఓకే, ఆస్క్ కంట్రోల్.
అది కాదు.
ఓకే, రిక్వెస్ట్ కంట్రోల్, రిక్వెస్ట్ రిమోట్ కంట్రోల్. ఓకే, మీకు ఇప్పుడు వచ్చిందా ఒకటి ఏదైనా?
అప్రూవ్ చేసి.
ఓకే, టేక్ కంట్రోల్. ఓకే, ఫైన్. లెట్ మీ క్యాన్సిల్ దిస్ వన్. కొత్తది క్రియేట్ చేస్తానండి ఒకటి. కొత్త దాంట్లో ఎక్కడ మ్యావన్ లేదు కదా, సో గో టు అదర్ మ్యావన్ ప్రాజెక్ట్. Next, create a simple project.
ఓకే.
Next, okay, so I will give the group ID as dot first project.
ఇది సేవ్ చేసి ఉంచుకోవాలండి ఇది గ్రూప్ ఐడి ఇది?
అవసరం లేదండి.
అవసరం లేదా?
ఏదైనా మార్చుకోవచ్చు. Okay, let us say I'm giving this one artifact ID as first project. Okay, so finish this one. Okay, ఇక్కడ మీకు క్రియేట్ అవుతుంది 33% అయింది. సో లెట్ దిస్ బి కంప్లీటెడ్. ఇది మొత్తం కంప్లీట్ అయిపోవాలన్నమాట మీకు.
మ్మ్.
మీ నెట్ ఏమైనా కొంచెం ఏమైనా స్లోగా ఉందా?
ఆ,
Let me
స్లో ఉండుంటే దాన్ని కొంచెం డౌట్ అనిపిస్తుంది. కొంచెం ఇటు కార్నర్లో ఒక్కొక్కసారి
ఇంటర్నెట్
స్పీడ్ టెస్ట్. ఓకే.
స్పీడ్ టెస్ట్ లేదండి, మీది ఇంటర్నెట్ బాగానే ఉంది.
బాగానే ఉందండి. ఓకే.
200 మెగాబైట్స్ అని చూపిస్తుంది. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ఫైన్. ఇది ప్రాబ్లం కాదు మీకు. ఓకే, బట్ సమ్ టైమ్స్ ఏమవుతుంది అంటే ఒకసారి మేవన్ ఆ రిపాజిటరీ స్లోగా ఉండొచ్చు, చెప్పలేం.
ప్రతిసారి ఇక్కడే మరి 30 ఈ ప్లేస్లోనే అయిపోతుంది ఎందుకనో.
ఓకే, కొంతసేపు వెయిట్ చేయండి. ఇన్ కేస్ కాకపోతే కనుక
ఓకే.
కొంతసేపు ఆగి మళ్ళీ ట్రై చేయండి, అంతే.
అప్పుడు ఎలా ట్రై చేయాలండి? మళ్ళీ సేమ్ ఫైల్ న్యూ మొత్తం.
ఓకే, లెట్ మీ స్టాప్ దిస్ వన్. ఇది స్టాప్ చేస్తాను, ఎందుకంటే ఇది ఫస్ట్ది ఇందాక మనకి ఇది అవ్వాల. ఇది స్టాప్ చేస్తాను. ఓకే, ఇది ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనేది, ఎందుకంటే దీని మీద బేస్ అయ్యి ఇది వెయిట్ చేస్తుంది. ఇది కంప్లీట్ అవ్వకుండా ఇది కంప్లీట్ అవుతుంది అనమాట. అందుకే ఇది ఫస్ట్ స్టాప్ చేస్తాను.
ఓకే అండి.
సో ఇది ఫస్ట్ స్టాప్ చేస్తాను, కానీ ఇది స్టాప్ అవ్వడానికి కొంచెం టైం పట్టేట్టుంది ఇది. సో ఎక్కడో ఇది ఏదో స్టక్ అయిందండి. ఓకే, ఓకే, ఒక పని చేయండి. ఓకే, ఇది ముందు స్టాప్ అయిపోతుంది. స్టాప్ అయిన తర్వాత ఇది మీకు స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఇది కరెక్ట్గా అయిపోయిందంటే విచ్ ఇస్ గుడ్. ఓకే, అప్పుడు మీరు ఏం చేస్తారంటే ఈ జస్ట్ డిపెండెన్సీస్ సెక్షన్ మీరు ఇందులో పెట్టుకుని మళ్ళీ చేయండి.
ఏదండి ఎలా అని అర్థం కాల?
ఇప్పుడు నేను ఇది సెకండ్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను. ఫస్ట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనేది మీరు ఆల్రెడీ ఇది మీరు క్రియేట్ చేసింది.
ఓకే.
నేను ఇది స్టాప్ చేస్తాను, కానీ ఇది స్టాప్ అవ్వడానికి కొంచెం టైం పడుతుంది.
ఓకే అండి.
ఓకే, సో ఇది స్టాప్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత మీకు నెక్స్ట్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది ఫస్ట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనేది.
ఓకే.
ఓకే, అది ఇన్స్టలేషన్ కరెక్ట్గా అయిపోయింది అనుకోండి. ఓకే,
ఓకే.
అప్పుడు మీరు ఎలాగే ఫస్ట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్లో డిపెండెన్సీస్ ఇది పెట్టుకున్నారు కదా, 3.14159 ఇది ఇదే కాపీ చేసుకుని ఫస్ట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ అన్న దాంట్లోకి పేస్ట్ చేసుకోండి. జస్ట్ ఈ సెక్షన్
ఓకే.
pom.xml. అండ్ మరోవర్ ఇది పైన ఉండాలి. ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనేది క్లోజ్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనేది పైన ఉండాలి, కానీ దానికి ముందు మీకు ఇది కరెక్ట్గా సెటప్ అయిపోవాలి ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్.
అది ఎలా తెలుస్తుందండి సెటప్ అయినట్టు?
అదే మీకు
ఇప్పుడు అయిపోయినట్టుంది కదా, క్లోజ్ అయిపోయింది.
జస్ట్ ఇక్కడ క్లిక్ చేయండి అంతే. క్లిక్ చేస్తే మళ్ళీ ఓపెన్ అవుతుంది మీకు. ఓకే, జస్ట్ ఇక్కడ 33% అని చూపిస్తుంది కదా, క్లిక్ చేస్తాను. ఇన్ కేస్ అప్పటికి కాలేదనుకోండి, ఒక్కసారి ఎక్లిప్స్ మొత్తం క్లోజ్ చేసి ఒకసారి సిస్టమ్ రీస్టార్ట్ చేసుకోండి.
ఓకే.
రీస్టార్ట్ చేసుకుంటే మీకు అన్ని ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ మొత్తం క్లోజ్ అయిపోతాయి. క్లోజ్ అయిపోయినాయంటే అప్పుడు కావాలంటే మళ్ళీ వచ్చి ఇంకో మేవన్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ మీరు ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ క్రియేట్ చేయండి. ఇది అంటే అప్పుడు ఈ ప్రాబ్లమ్ చూస్తాం మేము, ఎందుకంటే ఇది మీ సైడ్ నుంచి ప్రాబ్లం కాదు, ఇది మేవన్ సైడ్ నుంచి ప్రాబ్లం. మేవన్ దగ్గర జనరల్గా ఏంటంటే ఒకసారి ఇక్కడ మీకు అది దాని మీద ఇది పెరిగిన లోడ్ పెరిగిన ఏంటంటే మీకు ఇక్కడ స్లో అయిపోతూ ఉంటుంది అనమాట. సో ఇది కొంచెంసేపు ఆగి ట్రై చేయండి, ఇది బెటర్.
యా
లేదంటే
ఓకే అండి
కొంచెంసేపు ఇలా వదిలేయండి, కాలేదంటే సిస్టమ్ ఒకసారి ఎక్లిప్స్ మొత్తం క్లోజ్ చేసి సిస్టమ్ రీస్టార్ట్ చేయండి బెటర్. ఎందుకంటే ఎక్లిప్స్ క్లోజ్
ఆఫ్టర్ ఆల్
చేసిన
యాక్చువల్గా అలా కూడా ట్రై చేశాను, సేమ్ మళ్ళీ ఇలానే అయిపోయింది.
అదేనండి. కొన్నిసార్లు ఇలా జరుగుతుంది, నాకు కూడా జరిగింది ఇలాగ, అలాగే అమరకు కూడా జరిగింది కొన్నిసార్లు ఇలా.
ఓ
మిగతా
ఓకే,
వాళ్ళకి కూడా
నాకు రాలేదేమో అనుకుంటున్నా.
కొన్నిసార్లు జరుగుతుంది ఇలాగా. ఏంటంటే
ఓకే
కొంచెంసేపు అలా వదిలేయడం బెటర్ అనమాట.
ఓకే అండి, అయితే ఇది వదిలేసి మళ్ళీ ట్రై చేస్తాను.
యా
ఇది అంటే మళ్ళీ అంటే మీకు వర్క్ టైం అవుతుందేమో, ఈవినింగ్ అయినా అలా. కార్ రెంటల్ది కూడా నాకు రాలేదండి, అది వెబ్సైట్.
సరే అండి, మీరు XAMPP ఇన్స్టాల్ చేశారా? మీ మిగతా ఫోల్డర్స్లోకి వెళ్ళొచ్చా నేను?
వెళ్ళండి.
యా ఓకే. సో ఇందులో ఇప్పుడు సి
గిట్
డ్రైవ్
ఒకటి డౌన్లోడ్ చేశానండి, మ్యావిన్ ఇది ఇక్కడ ఆగిపోయింది. సో సెలీనియం అది స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామన్నా ఇది రిలేటెడ్ కదా, XAMPP ఇది కూడా అయిపోయింది.
సో ఇప్పుడు XAMPP నేను ఓపెన్ చేస్తానండి. ఓపెన్
ఓకే,
చేస్తే ఓకే
ఇప్పుడు
లెట్ మీ
ఒక్క కార్ రెంటల్ ఒక్కటే అదొక్కటే ఆగినట్టండి, ఇంకా వేరే కూడా చెయ్యాలా?
ఏది
ఇప్పుడు ఇప్పుడు నా ఈ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ దీంట్లో సెలీనియంకి
మిగతా ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకున్నారు కదా మీరు?
ఇంకా అంటే ఇంక వేరే ఏం లేదు కదండి, ఇంతే కదా,
ఆ,
ఒక కార్
ఇంకేం
రెంటల్ ఒక్కటి చేస్తే సరిపోతుంది కదా అని
అంతే
నాకు.
అంతే
అంతే.
అంతే. ఓకే సో ఓకే, మీరు కంట్రోల్ ప్యానల్ ఓపెన్ చేశారు. కంట్రోల్ ప్యానల్ స్టార్ట్ చేయండి ఇక్కడ. ఓకే, సో ఫస్ట్ ఏంటంటే అపాచీ సర్వర్ స్టార్ట్ చేయాలి. సో అపాచీ సర్వర్ స్టార్ట్ అయింది. నెక్స్ట్ ఏంటంటే MySQL సర్వర్ స్టార్ట్ చేయాలి. ఓకే, MySQL సర్వర్ కూడా స్టార్ట్ అయింది. బట్ ఫస్ట్ టైం ఇట్ విల్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు ఎలో దిస్.
ఓకే అండి.
ఓకే, సో ఇక్కడ మీకు సర్వర్స్ రెండు స్టార్ట్ అయిపోయినాయి. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు కార్ రెంటల్లో ఓకే, సో డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకున్నారా కార్ రెంట్లో?
లేదండి, చేయలేదు.
ఓకే, ఒకసారి గూగుల్ డ్రైవ్లో నేను అప్లోడ్ చేశాను, ఒకసారి గూగుల్ డ్రైవ్కి వెళ్ళండి మీరు.
ఓకే అండి, మీది ఇది కంట్రోల్ మీదే అన్నట్టు.
ఎందుకు రావట్లేదు కంట్రోల్? మళ్ళీ నేను బ్యాక్ ఎలా ఇవ్వాలి మీకు?
ఓకే. ఇక్కడ ఇది వెళ్ళండి, ఇక్కడ ఇది నాకు వచ్చింది. ఓకే,
యా
ఇదిగోండి.
ఓకే, నేను మీకు యాక్సెస్ అనేది ఇక్కడ ఇందులో మీకు
ఇక్కడ
సెర్చ్ తీసేయండి. సెర్చ్ తీసేయండి.
సెర్చ్లో కార్ రెంటల్ చేయమంటారా?
అవసరం లేదు, డైరెక్ట్ ఇప్పుడు నాదా ఇప్పుడు ఆ లింక్ ఉంటుంది కదా, ఆ లింక్ ఓపెన్ చేయండి మీరు ఒకసారి. నేను ఇంతకుముందు లింక్ పంపించాను కదా. ఓకే
ఏదండి, ఏది?
ఓకే, జస్ట్
కార్
ఇక్కడ
రెంటల్
ఇక్కడ క్లిక్ చేయండి ఒకసారి.
ఎక్కడండి, ఎక్కడ?
ఎక్కడైనా జస్ట్ ఆ ఎంటీ స్పేస్లో ఒకసారి క్లిక్ చేయండి.
ఓకే
ఓకే, లేదంటే మై డ్రైవ్కి వెళ్ళండి.
ఓకే
ఓకే, కింద షేర్డ్ విత్ మీ అని ఉంది కదా, షేర్డ్ విత్ మీ లెఫ్ట్లో షేర్డ్ విత్ మీ అని ఉంది కదా. లెఫ్ట్లో మై డ్రైవ్
లెఫ్ట్లో ఓకే షేర్ ఓకే
షేర్డ్ విత్ మీ దాంట్లో కదా. ఓకే, సో ఇందులో ఓకే సెలీనియం ట్రైనింగ్ 1 అని ఉంది కదా, అదేనా నేను మీకు షేర్ చేస్తుంది. క్లిక్ చేయండి ఒకసారి, సెలీనియం ట్రైనింగ్ అని.
కార్ రెంటల్లో ఒకవేళ సెర్చ్లో కార్ రెంటల్ అంటే అది మేబీ లొకేటింగ్ అని వస్తుందండి, ఇదేమో ఇది కదండి.
అదే క్లిక్ చేయండి ఒకసారి.
లొకేటింగ్ అని వస్తుంది, ఇక్కడ కార్ రెంటల్ అంటే.
ఓకే, ఓపెన్ చేయండి. ఇందులో
ఇది
మై
చూడండి,
డ్రైవ్లో
ఇదిగోండి.
మీరు అలా చేసుకుంటే మీకు అది తెలియదు, ప్రతిదానికి సెర్చ్
ఆహా,
చేసుకుంటూ ఉండాలి. మీకు యాక్చువల్ ఫోల్డర్ లొకేషన్ మీకు తెలుసు. ఒక మై డ్రైవ్ అన్న దాని మీద క్లిక్ చేయండి ఒకసారి లెఫ్ట్లో.
ఓకే, మళ్ళీ ఇక్కడ కూడా అంటారా?
కాదు ఇక్కడ మీకు ఏంటి ఫోల్డర్ స్ట్రక్చర్ చూపించే సెలీనియం 1 అని చూపించట్లేదండి మీకు.
ఇక్కడ గ్యాలరీస్
మొత్తాన్ని షేర్ చేసినప్పుడు మీకు మొత్తాన్ని చూపించాలి కదా, మీకు ఎందుకు ఇలా చూపిస్తుంది ఇది? ఓన్లీ సజెస్టెడ్ సెక్షన్ చూపిస్తుంది తప్పితే మిగతా ఏం చూపించట్లేదు ఎందుకు? సజెస్టెడ్ సెక్షన్స్లో మళ్ళీ ఏమైతే షేర్ చేసామో అయ్యే చూపిస్తుంది.
ఓన్లీ నేను ఒక్కోసారి ఏదైనా ఇలా సెర్చ్ చేసుకుని చదువుతున్నాను ఇలా, అంటే
అలా కాదు. ఓకే,
మండల్లో
ఒకసారి
లేదు, అది ఎలా చేయాలో కూడా నాకు ఐడియా
ఒక్క నిమిషం నేను మీకు కంట్రోల్ రిక్వెస్ట్
Yes,
చేస్తున్నాను. కంట్రోల్ ఓకే షేర్ విత్ మీ. యా, దాని మీద డబుల్ క్లిక్ కొట్టానండి. డబుల్ క్లిక్ కొడితే
ఎక్కడండి, ఎక్కడ డబుల్ క్లిక్ చేశారు? షేర్డ్ విత్
షేర్ విత్ మీలోకి వెళ్ళి కాదు, ఈ సెలీనియం ట్రైనింగ్ 1 అని ఉంది కదా, దీని మీద డబుల్ క్లిక్ చేశాను అంతే. డబుల్ క్లిక్ చేశాను. ఓకే, సో ఇక్కడ మీకు అన్నీ ఉంటాయి మొత్తం. ఇందులో ఈ కార్ రెంటల్. ఓకే, సో కార్ రెంటల్లో మళ్ళీ దీన్ని డబుల్ క్లిక్ చేసి కార్ రెంటల్ ప్రాజెక్ట్, దీన్ని రైట్ క్లిక్ చేస్తున్నాను. రైట్ క్లిక్ చేసి డౌన్లోడ్. ఓకే, డౌన్లోడ్ అయింది. నెక్స్ట్ వచ్చేసి బ్యాక్ వెళ్ళి సెలీనియం ప్రాక్టీస్ రైట్ క్లిక్ చేసి డౌన్లోడ్. ఓకే, సో నా ఫోల్డర్లోకి వెళ్ళి ఓకే, సో ఈ కారెంట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనేదాన్ని ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను.
ఇది ఫాస్ట్గానే డౌన్లోడ్ అవుతుంది.
ఓకే, సో కార్ రెంటల్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనేది ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేశాను. సో ఇందులో లోపలికి వెళ్ళి సో ఇక్కడ కార్ రెంటల్ అన్నది నేను కాపీ చేస్తున్నా. కార్ రెంటల్ అనేది కాపీ చేసి XAMPPలో హిస్టరీ డాక్స్లో ఇక్కడ పేస్ట్ చేసింది. ఓకే ఫైన్. నా ఇప్పుడు ఒక డేటాబేస్ ఒకటి క్రియేట్ చేయాలి. http localhost/php myadmin. ఓకే, సో ఇప్పుడు డేటాబేసెస్లోకి వెళ్ళి ఒక కొత్త డేటాబేస్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను.
ఓకే,
ఆర్ రెంటల్ అని చెప్పి ఒక డేటాబేస్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను. క్రియేట్. ఓకే, డేటాబేస్ ఒకటి క్రియేట్ అయింది కార్ రెంటల్ అని. ఇప్పుడు ఇందులోకి వచ్చి so we have the SQL file here. Okay, let me copy this one and then let me go here and I'm importing this one.
ఓకే.
Okay, so file to import, choose file. Okay, so this is the file. import. ఓకే. సో కరెంట్లో మీకు టేబుల్స్ అన్నీ కూడా అయిపోయినాయి. సో ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఇందులోకి వెళ్ళి సో రీడ్మీలో మీకు డేటా ఉంటుందంట, అంటే ఎలా ఉపయోగించుకోవాలి ఏంటి అని. సో కరెంట్లో వెబ్సైట్ వచ్చేసి మీరు ఈ విధంగా యాక్సెస్ చేసుకుంటారు. సో ఇదే మనం కాపీ చేసుకొని ఇందులోకి వెళ్ళి ఓకే. సో ఇది ఒకసారి ఇలా నావిగేట్ అయ్యి చూసుకోండి, జస్ట్ మీకు అలవాటు అవుతుంది. ఓకే.
ఓకే.
అలాగే ఇక్కడ లాగిన్ ఆ రిజిస్టర్ ఉంది కదా, లాగిన్ ఆ రిజిస్టర్లోకి వెళ్తే మీరు ఇందులో యూజర్ కింద రిజిస్టర్ అవ్వచ్చు. ఇది నాకు ఎందుకు ఇది ఓకే. సో ఇందులోకి వచ్చి ఇక్కడ మళ్ళీ మీరు ఇక్కడ సైన్ అప్ చేసుకుని ఒక యూజర్ కింద ఓకే ఏదో డీటెయిల్స్ సైన్ అప్ చేసుకుని మళ్ళీ అదే యూజర్తో లాగిన్ అవ్వండి. లాగిన్ అయితే మీరు దీంట్లోకి వెళ్తారు. ఇందులోనే అడ్మిన్ ఫంక్షనాలిటీ కావాలనుకుంటే, అడ్మిన్లోకి లాగిన్ అవ్వాలనుకుంటే కార్ రెంటల్ /admin. ఓకే. కార్ రెంటల్ RENTAL. ఓకే. సో ఓకే. ఓకే. దీనికి అడ్మిన్ యూజర్ నేమ్ పాస్వర్డ్ వచ్చేసి మీకు ఈ ఇందులో ఉంటుంది, అడ్మిన్ టెస్ట్ 1 2 3 4 5. అడ్మిన్ టెస్ట్ @1 2 3 4 5. ఓకే. సో మీరు ఈ అడ్మిన్ ఫంక్షనాలిటీ కూడా జస్ట్ 1 by 1 వెళ్ళి ఇలా ఒక వెహికల్ని యాడ్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేయండి, లేదంటే ఒక న్యూ బ్రాండ్ని యాడ్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేయండి. ఓకే. సో దట్ ఇది మీకు అలవాటు అవుతుంది. ఓకే. ఇది మీకు దీనికి సంబంధించింది. ఇప్పుడు ఇదే మన
యూజర్ నేమ్ అది నేను చేసుకోవాలి కదండి, అది ఇంకోటి కరెంట్.
ఇందులో ఏంటంటే కరెంట్లో మీకు ఇప్పుడు రెంట్లకి తీసుకునే వాళ్ళు ఉంటారు, వాళ్ళు నార్మల్ యూజర్స్ అన్నట్టు. ఆ యూజర్ మీరు అది నోట్ప్యాడ్లో ఉంది, అదన్నా ఉపయోగించుకోవచ్చు, లేదంటే జస్ట్ కొత్త యూజర్ రిజిస్టర్ చేసుకోండి అంతే.
ఓకే.
సైన్ అప్ చేసుకుని దాంతో లాగిన్ అయితే మీకు తెలిసిపోతుంది. ఓకే. నెక్స్ట్ వచ్చేసి సెలీనియం ప్రాక్టీస్ ఇది కూడా నేను ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేస్తే ఓకే. సో సెలీనియం ప్రాక్టీస్ అనేదాన్ని కాపీ చేస్తున్నాను. కాపీ చేసి ఇందులో మళ్ళీ HT డాక్స్ అనే ఫోల్డర్లోకి వెళ్ళి ఇందులోనే పేస్ట్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకే. ఇది ప్రాక్టీస్కి, మీకు సెలీనియం ప్రాక్టీస్కి. సో ఇదే మీరు ఓకే. సో ఇదే మీరు సేమ్ లోకల్ హోస్ట్ /selenium _practice. ఓకే. ఇక్కడికి వస్తారు, ఇండెక్స్లోకి వెళ్ళండి. ఇండెక్స్లోకి వెళ్తే ఇది మీరు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసుకోవడానికి. ఓకే. సో కరెంట్లో ఇది 2 చేసేసాము. నెక్స్ట్ మీరు ఒకసారి ఆ మ్యావెన్ అనేది మళ్ళీ కొంచెంసేపు ఆగి ట్రై చేయండి. ట్రై చేస్తే మీకు లేదంటే ఒకసారి సిస్టమ్ రీస్టార్ట్ చేసి కొన్నిసార్లు రేర్గా ఇది
అలానే ఉంది కదండి.
జరుగుతూ ఉంటుందండి ఇలాగా. జస్ట్ ఏంటంటే మీరు కొంచెంసేపు ఆగి అప్పుడు మళ్ళీ ట్రై చేస్తాం. కానీ డిపెండెన్సీస్ అనేది మాత్రం మీకు ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్ లోపల ఉండాలన్నమాట మీకు.
ఓకే. ఆహా!
ఓకే.
ఓకే. అంటే ఇది ఒక్కటే అయితే ఇక అన్ని సాఫ్ట్‌వేరు కరెక్ట్‌గానే
సాఫ్ట్వేర్ అన్నీ మీకు
ఉన్నట్టుంది.
మీకు అన్నీ కరెక్ట్గానే ఉన్నాయండి మిగతా అన్నీ.
ఆ! అదే.
ఓకే. అది ఓకే.
ఓకే.
ఓకేనండి. అయితే వేరే
ఓకే
ఏమైనా
సుబ్బు.
క్వశ్చన్స్ ఏమైనా ఉన్నాయండి?
అంటే ఈ అసలంటే చాలా బేసిక్ లెవెల్‌లో ఉన్నాను. ఒక హార్డ్
అదే
అనిపిస్తుంది
మీరు
బాగా.
అంటే మీరు అదే ఎప్పటికప్పుడు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసుకుంటూ ఉండాలండి. మీరు అసలు
అప్పుడు ట్రై
లేట్ చేయదు.
చేస్తున్నా అండి. కానీ చాలా ఏంటో హార్డ్ చాలా ఇయర్స్ తర్వాత వల్లో
యాహ్!
ఏమో హార్డ్
యాహ్!
అనిపిస్తుంది బాగా.
అదే
ట్రై
అంటే
చేసి
ఇనిషియల్‌గా
టైం
ఇనిషియల్‌గా
పెడుతున్నా
అంతే
గానీ
ఉంటది. యాహ్!
రిజల్ట్ సరిగ్గా రావట్లేదు. నాకే సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ లేదు.
అదే ఇనిషియల్‌గా అంతే ఉంటదండి. మీరు అట్‌లీస్ట్ ఏంటంటే చెప్పినట్టు జస్ట్ ఒకసారైనా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్ళిపోయారనుకోండి. తర్వాత
అదేనండి.
మళ్ళీ రివిజన్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు అప్పుడు మీకు కొంచెం ఈజీ అనిపిస్తది. మీకు
ఆ!
ఇనిషియల్‌గా కొంచెం టఫ్‌గా అనిపించినా రివిజన్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు మీకు కొంచెం ఈజీగా అనిపిస్తదనమాట.
అదేనండి.
కానీ
2, 3 టైమ్స్
మీ
ఇంకా ఆగిపోదాం అనుకున్నా. ఇంకా
మీకు
ఓకే. స్టార్ట్
చె
చేశాక ఓకే. ఎఫర్ట్ పెట్టి చూద్దాం.
అదే.
1
అదే.
½ ఇయర్
మీరేంటంటే
డిలే
చెప్పినట్టు చేసేసుకుంటే మాత్రం మీకు
హ్మ్.
డెఫినిట్‌గా ఇంటర్వ్యూకి మీరు వెళ్తే గనుక ఇంతకంటే మిమ్మల్ని ఎక్కువ అడగడు. ఆఫ్‌కోర్స్ అడుగుతాడు. కొన్ని కొన్ని క్వెషన్స్ అడుగుతారు. కానీ
హ్మ్.
90% 80-90% మీకు ఇందులోంచే వస్తాయి మీకు. ఇంటర్వ్యూ
అదేనండి.
చేసినా, ఏం చేసినా. ఓకే.
యాక్చువల్‌గా కొంచెం ప్రాక్టీస్ అయ్యాక అప్పుడు నాకు అప్పుడు డౌట్స్ వస్తాయి. అప్పుడు
అదే. అదే.
అడుగుతాను మిమ్మల్ని.
మీరేం లేదు. ఆ
ఇప్పుడు
వీడియోస్ అన్నీ
ప్రస్తుతానికి ఆ
చూసి
కన్‌ఫ్యూజన్ స్టేట్‌లో ఉన్నా. జస్ట్ అట్లా వింటున్నాను అంతే.
అదే అండి. ఫస్ట్ టైం మీరు వీడియోలు చూసుకుంటూ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసుకోండి అంతే. ఓకే.
ఓకే అండి. ఓకే.
ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసుకుంటే అయిపోతుంది మీకు.
హ్మ్.
యాహ్!
ఓకే.
ఓకే.
చాలా థాంక్స్.
ఓకేనండి అయితే. యాహ్! ఓకే.
థాంక్స్ అండి.
ఓకే. యాహ్!
అది మీరు ఎండ్ చేస్తారా? ఓకే. స్టాప్.
అదే చేస్తున్నాను. ఓకే.
ఓకే.
అయిపోయింది. స్టాప్ అయిపోయిందండి. ఓకే.
ఓకే అండి. థాంక్స్
యాహ్!
అండి. బాయ్.
ఓకేనండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ. బాయ్. ఇది ఆల్రెడీ రికార్డ్ అవుతానండి. ఓకే. ఫైన్.